Hello, and thanks for watching this Microsoft Intune video. This is Intune Role Scope Groups, video 3 of 5 in the Intune Role Administration video series. Let's start out with a review of roles and role assignments. In this case, the Desktop Administrator role has three different resources associated with it: compliance policies, configuration profiles, and mobile apps. Each of those resources have permissions defined specific to the resource. We have one role assignment called Seattle, and it contains a member group, the Seattle IT department, and a scope group, Seattle end users. We'll use this as our example as we continue along. Scope groups are part of the role assignment. Scope groups limit the specific users your administrators can assign policies, profiles, or applications to, and it limits which users or devices your administrators can perform remote tasks on. Scope groups actually have no effect on whether or not the administrators can read, create, update, or delete any of the resources for which they've been granted permissions in that role. So let's see exactly how this works. If we go back to the role and role assignment, for mobile apps, configuration profiles, or compliance policies, where these permissions exist, our members, in this case, the Seattle IT department, can read, update, delete, or create mobile apps. But for the assign permission, the IT department members can only assign applications to the scope group Seattle end users. So what you should do is first pick scope groups from the top of your security group hierarchy. You should also ensure that you're always picking the most appropriate scope group for a given role assignment. And you'll need to pick scope groups in certain special cases that might be different. Let's start at the top. Here I have Contoso represented with a bunch of employees that are worldwide. I have an IT department, which is a set of 2 users. I have a Seattle end users group, a Chicago end users group, and a Dallas end users group. In order to ensure we're selecting the right scope group for the role assignment, remember we're going to start at the top of our hierarchy of security groups. When anyone in the IT department is assigning applications or performing remote tasks, and the scope group is the US employees security group, they can also select any of the child security groups for the assignment. So if your IT administrator wanted to create an application assignment that only targeted Dallas end users, you can allow that by only having selected the US employees security group as the scope group for that role. So remember, always start at the top of your hierarchy. Now let's say that you have your Seattle IT department and you want to ensure that your Seattle IT can only assign policies, profiles, or applications to end users. How can we accomplish that? Here's our scenario. In this case, your role assignment would have the Seattle IT department as the member group and Seattle end users as the scope group. This ensures that Seattle IT can assign and perform remote tasks against Seattle end users only. Let's talk last about the special cases. Scope groups are not used when your administrators are only assigned a read-only role, because remember that scope groups only apply for the assign and remote task actions. If your administrators don't assign any profiles or policies or applications, scope groups are not used. Or if your administrators don't perform remote tasks on users or devices, scope groups are not used. So in these cases, you should use the same security group for your scope group as what you had selected for your member group. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope it helps you as you use Intune role-based access control.